Hello guys, welcome back, and if you've tuned in, you're obviously interested to see the results of the experiment we're running, where we were testing 50 watts of white light versus 50 watts of the blue and red or the purple light. So the contenders were, so here we have the Citizen CLU 048. This is a 3500 Kelvin light. It is a 100 watt maximum output, but we are running it at 50 watts using this cheap ghetto driver that I bought from Aliexpress. I think it was like £3 or £4. And I actually measured the efficiency of this driver. So out of the wall, it's pulling 59.4 watts. So I measured that using an Emon Pi, which a friend has given me, so that we can actually measure how much it's pulling from the walls, 59.4 watts. And it's outputting 50.3 watts to the light, to the actual cob itself. So that makes it 84.6% efficient. Right, then we tested it against the Aliexpress YXO Yuxinou. This is a 50 watt full spectrum is what they call it, but it's the blue and red. And this is a driverless chip, and I measured how much it's pulling from the wall, and it's actually pulling 54 watts from the wall. But obviously there's no way for me to, without ripping all of this coating and stuff off, there's no way for me to actually measure what power is going to the chip. So we don't know what efficiency the supposed driver on this thing is actually running at. But if we assume that it's actually getting 50 watts, so if it's staying cool enough and it's delivering 50 watts, then that's not such a bad efficiency. Right. So we had those two, so 50 watts white, or 3500 Kelvin, 50 watts blue and red. And to mix things up a little, a seller called Relassy on Amazon sent me one of these grow panels to test as well. So I thought I would throw that in the mix. So this is it's called a Relassy, RELASSY. It's called a sun-like, so its spectrum is, I think, around 2700 Kelvin, and it's marketed as 300 watts or equivalent, but it actually only draws 65 watts from the wall. So this thing costs around £70 on Amazon. You can find it there. And yeah, obviously the nice thing about this is there's obviously no drivers. All the drivers they're built in. There's no fans, so they've mounted the little LED chips, as you can see there. They've mounted those into an aluminium holder so that it actually, and also because they're under driving this thing severely, they don't actually get very hot at all, so this thing runs very cool. And the nice thing about this also is that it illuminates a much wider area so it's slightly less intense than, so I measured it against the CLU 048. So this thing saturated my phone's light sensor at, this was at 36 centimeters. So that was a lux of 38,000 lux. So 30 centimeters, and this, 36 centimeters, and this at 30 centimeters. So it's pretty bright. It's only 6 centimeters difference between this and that, although this is running at 65 watts, so it's 15 more watts of power. But the thing with this is it's illuminating a much wider area. So you get a more consistent light distribution under this light. So this thing, I think it was at a distance of 18 inches, so that's, how much is that, 45 centimeters? This thing is outputting, right in the center, it was measured at 500, approximately 500 micromole per meter second. So that's pretty good power ratings for that guy, considering it's only a 65 watt effectively light. So this thing also is pretty cool. You just plug it in, and it's got a built-in timer, so it does 4, 8 and 12 hours. And so all of these were running on a 12-hour photo period. So this thing was running on its own timer. Now, I don't know why you'd ever use 4 or 8 hours. That's a bit baffling. Why wouldn't you make it 12, 14 and 18 hours, you know, like if you're trying to flower your plants or something. But nevertheless, they obviously know that this is one of their design flaws, and they're redesigning this thing to have better timing options, and also an option to run for 24 hours so that you can then run it through one of these guys, little timer plug. So, shall we get to the results then? So let me show you quickly what these guys look like at the start. So let's get right to the results then. So you can see I've got high-tech visuals here. See, I've written on pieces of paper what each light is. So recap: Citizen CLU 048, running at 50 watts, 3500 Kelvin white light, at a cost of £20, versus YXO Yuxinou, Aliexpress, cheapy, at 50 watts, blurple, so blue and red, at a cost of £2, versus a Relassy grow panel running at 65 watts, 2700 Kelvin white light, retails for £70 on Amazon. Okay, let's get the plants. So we've got 2 sets of plants. One of them, we grew some seeds in the garden, and they were, again, around about, I don't know, 8 centimeters big when they all went under their respective lights. And we also had ones grown from seed under each of these lights. So let's compare. So here we go. Citizen. Let's put that guy there. Line them up so we can get a measurement. So from seed, we have grown approximately we've grown between, blocking the light now, between 8 and 9 centimeters from seed. And we go from seed, just squished him now, the YXO Yuxinou, let's put that guy there. So this guy isn't quite straight, but the taller one is comparable. It's about 9 centimeters. The shorter one, okay, it has a bit of a bend to it. If we straighten that guy out, can we do that? If we straighten him out, there we go, he's about almost 7 centimeters. Right. And lastly, the Relassy grow panel. Let's put him there. And so here we have also around 8 to about 10 centimeters. So there's not much to say here. They all look to me within statistical significance that they are about the same. Now it's a very small sample size, but you can see from seed they have grown to approximately the same level each. Next, let's get the plants that were grown. So they were about 8 centimeters, so they were about this tall when I plucked them from the garden and potted them here. So let's put that guy, the Citizen, this plant. So there is about three plants here, and they range from about 11, 13 and 14 centimeters, the 3 plants, like that. And we get the YXO Yuxinou. Wow. Okay. So let's detangle these. So that's 5, 10, 15. So where this guy was, this guy was about 15 centimeters. This guy reaches about 18. That's about 16. This guy's about 15. Alright. And lastly, the Relassy grow panel. So all of these lights were at the same distance from the lamp. And oh man, this guy is enormous. Whew, okay. So we've got 5, 10, 15, 18. That guy is about 21. And here we have another guy. So 5, 10, 15. It's about 20, and then this mutant stalk here that's gone 5, 10, 15, 20, about 25 centimeters. So there is the picture. So they were all under a 12-hour photo period, did not see the light of day. Obviously these guys were about that big. They were grown outdoors and taken indoors. So there's significant growth in all of them. So what can we conclude? All of them work. Now let's look at the growth qualitatively. Okay, so from the seedlings, I think there's not much we can really determine here besides maybe the Relassys. No, for me they're all about the same from seedlings. So that's fine, that's a result. So from seedlings, it doesn't matter what light you use, you just need any light and you get the same results. Let's put those guys here. Right, now when the plants are a bit more mature, that's quite a different story. So 20 pounds, we see that the Citizen, Now there's some features to note here. So first of all, if we can focus in here, there we go. So there's it's dense growth, very dense growth. We have a little bit of tip burn over there. But something to note here is a strange result is that all the leaves are facing vertically, right? So for me, I mean, I don't know botany too well, but for me, this kind of gives me an indication that the light is maybe too strong. So rather than the plant reaching for the light, it's sort of trying to hide away from it. It's just too intense. So that's what I think is going on here. I don't know, maybe somebody else can comment in here, but to me I think that's what's happening. It's just the light is way too intense, and it's resulting in not only tip burn here, but sort of dense vertical growth. The YXO Yuxinou looks a little bit better. The leaves are, you know, they're reaching out laterally as well, which is good. Except for the top here, where you can see they're growing vertically as well, so wherever they're approaching the light. So I think it's safe to say that actually, I don't know, but I think it's maybe less intense on the plants. But you can see here we also have a little bit of leaf burn, a little bit of tip burn there. Look at that. So the blue and red spectrum has resulted in a much bigger plant, and I think in terms of like biomass, I mean, I haven't weighed these, but just sort of by fondling them gently with my fingers, this one does feel more massy. Right, and then lastly the Relassy grow panel. So this is the most expensive of the bunch, £70. Of course, free for me because I am a reviewer and tester. Look at that, that thing is giant. So there you have it. And now these leaves are all, unlike, you know, the tips of the tops of these and this one all the way through, these leaves are pretty evenly spread out. I think this is what a healthy lentil is supposed to look like. Now the growth of this thing has surpassed its brothers and sisters that were grown in the garden under full sun. So it's definitely, I think, a meaty result there. Obviously it's the most expensive and it's also running at a higher power level, but I mean, there's definitely more overall mass as compared to the other two with these. They've grown much taller. I don't know if you can say it's etiolating, I think that's the word, when it's reaching for light. I'm not sure. So it's either that or it's just grown much stronger. Maybe somebody else can give their opinions there. Does that look healthy to you? I mean, I haven't really grown lentils in the garden, so I can't tell you. I can just tell you that pretty much all of these plants are bigger than the ones grown in the garden, so that's a positive result for artificial lighting. Yay! Who needs the sun when you create your own sun? So there you have it. In terms of price, if you're on a ghetto budget and you want to grow stuff and you don't really care too much about maybe efficiencies and whatever, then that's your guy. Blue and purple, £2, no drivers, nothing needed. Obviously the fan and the heatsink to keep the thing running nice and cool. But that would be my choice if you're on a budget. If you have the money and you just want mega mass, then 70 pounds. Hell, why not? And lastly, a kind of strange result, which is the Citizen CLU 048. So I know this is a good light, so I think we have the problem that this guy is just too intense on the plants, and you know, all the leaves are growing vertically. So I think what I'm going to do is continue the experiment, but I'm going to put them, so these were at a distance of about 30 centimeters, and then I had to move them down because I noticed, you know, this tip burn and this kind of weird stuff, so I had to move them away from the light. So now they are approximately, so they're all the same. Let's measure that quick. So that's about 33 centimeters. Was that the same here? So I had them all positioned the same height. Yeah, so they're all at 33 centimeters. They started at 30 centimeters, more or less. And yeah, once it reached to the point where they were like, you know, approaching this level, they're very close to the light, which is quite hot here. And I don't think they like that. They got tip burn and stuff, so I had to move them down a bit. So I think I'm going to continue the experiment, run it for a few more days, but this time just really put them some distance away. I don't know, maybe I'll take this down. So we will run them at whatever this distance is. There we go. So to the top of the pot. So we're going to run it at about 45 centimeters. This is going to be the new test. We're going to see if this guy opens up his leaves and see what kind of growth we get. So there you have it, guys. So the seedlings, they don't care what you give them. Obviously you can see there it has a bit of that vertical leafage. This one has normal leafage and this one is normal. So in terms of seedlings, you can do pretty much whatever you want. You'll grow lentil plants, but in terms of more mature sort of adult plants on a budget, potentially the highest efficiency we will see now if we move them further away from the light. And lastly, if you have money, you just want mass, that's the way to go. Cool, so tune in for the updates, and we run them a few more days at the higher distance from the light.